It's Tuesday, late in the afternoon. I wanted to give you an update. This is the heads up, of course, for the Ozarks. So I do severe weather chasing and reporting all the time. But when it gets a little more personal for Southwest Missouri or even Northwest Arkansas, I do issue a special kind of focused in look at what severe weather might do. So this is the case on Friday. Now, we have Friday. We also have early next week, but the most immediate one is Friday. The Storm Prediction Center issues forecast in the day 4 through 8 time frame. So this is day 4, and this hasn't changed a whole lot. So Springfield, of course, is right here. And this is just an elongated area of a 15% probability of severe storms. That does include places like West Plains and Mountain Home, Arkansas. The concern here, and that would be enough, but the concern here is that this may actually need to be extended backwards a little bit, I think, in subsequent outlooks. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. Now let's take a look at some parameters here for Friday. So this is the machine learning from Colorado State University. It has a significant severe threat from the Boot Heel eastward, covering almost all of Kentucky and Tennessee. But you'll notice that this red area kind of goes backwards a little bit, and so does this yellow area. These are just decreasing percentages. What's nice about this particular map is they go ahead and put the SPC forecast on the panel right next to it, so you can kind of compare. So there's room, I think, to back this up a little bit more toward the west on Friday to include more of southern Missouri, southwest Missouri, and northwest Arkansas. And if you look at analog comparisons to previous weather patterns, certainly this suggests a little bit more widespread severe weather activity. By the way, this doesn't discriminate between type of severe weather. It just says anything from hail to high winds to maybe tornadoes to all three. It doesn't discriminate. So it's just a probability. It's 110 kilometers and within a point, and I don't know where my little cheat sheet went, but that's 68 miles, which is a little bit different than the SPC. Their forecast all give you probabilities within 25 miles of a point. Well, okay, so now you know. Now this is interesting to me. If you go back and look at the SIP's tornado probability, again, this is pattern matching with previous weather systems. There are two little patches of tornadoes, one around the Boot Heel and in adjacent areas, and another one here in eastern portions of Oklahoma. So that's, again, if you were to not separate these and kind of connect it all together, you might be able to make an inference there about a tornado possibility in that corridor that connects those 2%. So that's something to take a look at. So let's look at some actual model data here. This is the NAM, which this potential outbreak is just barely within the range of the NAM. It goes out 84 hours. We're at the edge here, but this is noon, actually 1 p.m. on Friday. And so the CAPE is a measure of unstable air. That's what we're looking at here. And this is very unstable air. So we're talking about unstable here. CAPE values above purple, that's 4,000 or even higher. That's extremely unstable air. And it's really a reflection of the fact that for the first time this year, we're actually going to get upper 60s, maybe lower 70-degree dew points into the threat zone. Same would be true out here. We're closer to the epicenter where they're thinking it's going to happen. So that's very important. If you look at the GFS from this morning, similar, really. In fact, this actually displaces the unstable air at 1 p.m. more west than the NAM. So again, there's room for taking a look at the possibility that this threat area might back more into the Ozarks and maybe even more north. So again, the CAPE on the GFS is very high, more than sufficient for severe storms, large hail. If you look at dew points, this is what I'm talking about. So the purple color is 70-degree dew points. So those are forecast to overspread at least the southern and eastern and southeastern portion of Missouri, all of Arkansas. And where this little trough of low pressure sets up is very important. I also put the wind plots on here because these are important. When you have winds that are out of the southwest in this condition, that's not real favorable for tornadoes. Good news. When they're more out of the south in this condition, that is more favorable for tornadoes. So there's definitely a transition as you go more toward the Boot Heel of that being the case. And we'll go ahead and look at the GFS. It's a little more splotchy, but it does have 70-degree dew points showing up in a lot of places as well. So the next thing we're going to do is take a look at the 500 millibar flow, and that will show you where I think the severe weather is likely, not only for this day, but also getting into, well, late Sunday over the plains, and then Monday and Tuesday again for the Ozarks. Now we're going to look at the 500 millibar flow as it applies to Friday's threat, and there's other severe weather events prior to this, by the way. In fact, if you watch my severe thunderstorm outlooks, which I publish every morning, you'll have more of an insight as to what I'm talking about. But there's a northern plains threat there on Wednesday. There is a Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois threat right about there. But the one we're talking about is Friday, so we're going to advance that to right at the same time, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And this is a large area of very fast flow aloft. What's interesting to me, a couple of things, is that a lot of times, I would actually prefer 500 millibar winds to be more out of a westerly direction when we're looking at severe weather setup, and that's certainly the case here. This is also, if you kind of eyeball it, this is the jet maximum right here. So this is the right rear, the entrance region, really, to a jet streak, and that often can enhance the local atmosphere and make things more unstable. And so that's the zone that we're in Friday afternoon. If I go one more time jump here, so this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's right around 7 p.m. Again, this entire area right here is a kind of a favorable lift zone for severe weather, and I think that storms will develop in this area somewhere, and will most likely be a nocturnal nightmare for Kentucky, Tennessee, Southern Illinois, and Indiana as that thing continues to move forward. So that's a look at the NAM, the North American model. Now let's look at the GFS 500 millibar flow and double down on this, and plus look at what's going to happen, I think, Monday and Tuesday. So now this is a look at the GFS. That NAM I looked at was actually the 18Z, the latest run. This one wasn't quite in, so I used the morning one. Again, it'll give you the same idea. So let's look through this, and we see very similar features, very strong shortwave right there affecting that Thursday outlook in Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan. And then we're going to go ahead to Friday, right again around lunchtime, a little bit after, which is right about there. Now this is a little bit different. This has the jet streak kind of hanging back a little bit more on the GFS model. So in other words, this is that entrance region I was talking about right there, whereas in the other model it was more like right there. So that's, again, interesting. And the winds aren't quite out of the west at this level as they were in the other model, but again, close enough. Now, let's move forward a little bit. One more set here. So this is 7 o'clock in the evening. Now we are starting to see a little more in the way of an entrance region here. But now that's really applied mostly to curved flow, and there is some curve in this flow. But anytime you have unstable air along the edge of a boundary like that, if there's not a lot of curvature, that is just fair game for severe weather, really. So that is one aspect to this. Now, let's just keep going. I'll erase that, and we'll go through the weekend here. So this is... okay, this was right here. This is Saturday at 7 p.m. There's a ridge of high pressure over the Ozarks, so we're probably okay. But notice what's happening here. So I've got a story to tell you. When I was in high school and trying to figure out weather, before there was internet, there was a show called AM Weather, and it was a show developed for pilots. And I just remember reading some of the books that I could get my hands on back then. I remember, when you see a jet stream nosing into California like that, that's trouble. That's a negatively tilted trough. And we've already established that the dew points are back and here to stay. They're not going to go very far away now. No cold fronts are driving dry air to the Gulf. So this is trouble, actually. So this is Saturday right around dinner time. And if we advance this to Sunday at about that same time, which is about right there, this is, spelling what should be some severe weather in the high plains here. So how does that affect the Ozarks? Well, let's go 24 hours more into the future here. And so this is right here. This is Monday evening. This is a strong jet stream impacting moist, unstable air. It looks as if from this model data, again, we're far out, but there's been some pretty accurate ensemble predictions of this that have not deviated very much. So I'm tending to believe this as a development. This implies thunderstorms will get quite severe and violent here and then drift into the Ozarks later on that night. So that's Monday we're talking about. Let's go 24 more hours. So right here, this is Tuesday in the evening. This jet stream stretches out a little bit. So there could be some severe weather possibility. I didn't know I could do that. So there could be some severe weather possibilities here as well. Again, we're going 24 hours more into the future, and the details are probably a little more sketchy. How did I do that? It's interesting. Great. Okay. Anyway, so that's my synopsis. So primarily this video was to talk about Friday, but it was also to give you a heads up on Monday and on Tuesday. Those, of course, are many more days in the future. But there has been some general agreement that that big old trough of low pressure with that nose of jet stream winds is going to make it into the plains, and it is going to stir up some trouble. It just remains to be seen how the Ozarks will play into that and how much either we'll get leftover activity, which would be better, or we'll be in, ground zero initiation, which wouldn't be good. So stay here and we'll keep updating. And now if you want the daily thunderstorm outlooks every morning, if you want to keep updated, maybe not specifically for the Ozarks, but you'll get a pretty general idea. I publish this every morning, somewhere between around 8 and 8:30 in the morning, just based on the SPC's outlook, and we look at model data too. So you can get an idea for the Ozarks by watching those as well. So thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.